Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Neal Sperling. And I am really thrilled to have Neal here today. We've been talking so much over the last few months, and we have such a great topic. We're going to be talking about how Neal helps entrepreneurs and corporate leaders push their businesses forward through clarity. So I want to give you some information about Neal because he's just amazing. He's the founder and CEO of a global strategic advisory service, and he has been privileged to connect with the world's most recognized entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, political leaders, nonprofits, millionaires, and billionaires. So Neal provides innovative new business development strategies, along with vastly improved promotional, marketing, licensing, distribution solutions to help a wide variety of entities to hyper accelerate the growth and results they would like to achieve for themselves and their organizations. Neal has helped clients overcome seemingly insurmountable business challenges through his unique systems thinking approaches that he's developed and has become increasingly noted for. In select cases, Neal has been asked to step into roles as diverse as co-CEO to acting executive director to lead, manage, and implement his innovative solutions, both online and offline. In some cases, he has even created and executed produced conferences and special events to connect his clients with their most prized prospects. And I'm just going to finish up here by telling you that Neal has frequently unearthed lucrative new profit centers and has made millions of dollars for his clients and has recently been rewarded by being offered partnerships and or equity participation and several clients' business interests, having been told that he consistently delivered world-class results. Wow, what a bio, Neal. I am so thrilled to have you here today.
Well, Lynn, thank you very much. That sounded pretty impressive. Where can I meet that guy?
Well, right here today, because
Oh,
I've got
wow.
you.
I'm excited.
And for any of our listeners who are joining us for that very first time, please don't miss out on a single episode by subscribing to Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And if you love what we're doing and we've earned the right, please leave us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. So, Neal, let's just get right into this because, I've this incredible bio, my gosh. And I want to really sort of dig into what inspired you to get started with helping entrepreneurs and corporate leaders in business development.
I always answer the same way, and it's truthfully failure. I have been someone who is kind of a misfit throughout life. I've talked about this because I'm a polymath. So as a polymath, I see a lot of opportunities, and I'm been told I've been pretty good in a variety of areas. But I always aspire to be great. And as a result, you can't really be great without being focused. And so the focus for me was trying to understand how to achieve that. And what I realized was is that there were people, examples out there that I could study. And so I decided to basically go for the best. And I studied for 20 years people who've excelled and stood out and were considered geniuses. I tested pretty high in my aptitude tests, but I wanted to understand how I could bring up my level of acuity. And so for 20 years, I studied and had the hubris, I guess, to study some of the greatest minds in history: Da Vinci, Einstein, Edison, Steve Jobs, Tesla, Elon Musk, to figure out why they were different, why they were better, and how they did that. And so it led me to understand after this journey that they were all systems thinkers. And they approached things through this organizational process of clarity that allowed them to amplify their own gifts, which we all have, but focus it like a laser and then take that and apply it. And so that was my starting point.
Wow. Okay, that is incredible. Thank you so much. And being that lifelong learner is so valuable. And one of the things that you and I have talked with offline, and I would really like you to share your thoughts on, because, about being an authentic friend and how that moves your relationship forward. Because, with all things sales, I am all about relationship sales and that human to human element. And so rather than me talk about how powerful I find this, I want you to share your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could be a lengthy dissertation, but I'll try to synopsisize it as best I can. I think it all started with being very blessed to have a wonderful mother who had this gift. And her gift was to seek out the most difficult people and make them a friend. And it was always fascinating to me. How does that work? But she realized something profound, which was that difficult people are often difficult because they're expressing an issue they haven't resolved earlier in their life, typically in their childhood. And that is they take that woundedness and then they transplant it into the rest of their life. And so I like to say that, these are the kind of people who have their wounded child in the driver's seat of their life and they don't recognize it. And so they take it out on everyone. And so in sales, as you know, there's some difficult people that we frequently run across, but she tamed them. She always managed to tame them by focusing on the important, which was that she understood if people were wounded, they were probably in pain. And so she was a secretary in a big secretarial pool, but she always sought out the most difficult bosses. And when she died, she had cancer. She may have been floating and for different offices and basically was only involved with a person for one day and they remembered her and they insisted on having a service for her. And she was at his film studio actually, and there were huge producers, actors, uh, people who ran the studio insisted on having a service for her and they treated her like a head of state. And that left a very powerful impression on me. What was that all about?
Yeah.
Because she basically was the world's greatest salesman. She understood that it was all about building a relationship with people. It wasn't being in the moment and it was simply transactional. I've spoken with many CEOs through the years in different groups that I've been invited to, and I've asked them, how many people do you know fit these certain criteria that I would define in my speech? And they would usually say the same thing, about less than 5%.
Yeah.
And that less than 5% were typically people who focused on the relationship rather than the transaction,
Yep.
which is sad. So I'm on a mission to get more people to think like my mom. She actually looked at a lot of people, and I've told this before in other podcasts, like a garden. And
Yeah.
all gardens have weeds. And so she was interested in plucking the weeds out of the garden to let the rest of the garden flourish. And so that's pretty much the path I follow now. And it doesn't have to be complicated in sales because if you want to make a friend, it's one thing. If you want to make an authentic friends are authenticated and people know. They know when you're being an authentic friend, just like she was to other people. She didn't have any expectations. She wanted to serve them. She wanted to support them. She wanted to bring out the best in them. And they appreciated it and they would respond in kind. And so that's really, I think, the fundamental secret at the bottom line to sales, great sales.
Yeah. No, I couldn't concur more. I have my philosophy is very similar. It's just I use the words worthy intent when you approach any new opportunity, whether it's a prospect or potential client, whether a speaking opportunity, meeting a new guest, that you do it with worthy intent and that you genuinely desire to know more about them, who they are, um, you know, you know, and that you're there to help and serve, guide them. So
It's all
that
about
is,
connectivity.
yeah, it
We have
is.
to realize that we're all connected on certain levels, and we need to rediscover that. Sometimes we bury it in the immediacy of the moment. We
Yeah,
want to transact, we want to get this done. Can you help me now? Can you do
yeah,
this for me now? If not, I need to move on. And we miss the big picture, which I always like to say is that the relationship is the fountain, the transaction is the glass of water. And so, we can replace the glass of water, but the foundation, the fountain, is what really sustains us. And so I have many people in my network that I've aligned with who think identically to this. And as a result, we're a fountain for each other of unmanageable possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. Neil, I mean, this sort of takes us into another area, because we've just been alluding to this, that why do your intentions matter to improve relationships, that human to human connection?
Well, intention's everything. None of us are dumb. We're a very sentient species, and so we all intuit through, whether it's body language or what we verbally communicate, our intentions and where we're coming from. And why would you want to deal with somebody who doesn't have the most benevolent and supportive intentions? The greatest salespeople in the world were people like Martin Luther King and Jesus Christ, and they had great intentions. And so they were actually able to lead movements by capturing people's imagination and their hearts combined, because they recognized that the sincerity in what they were uh, seeking to do. And,
Yeah,
and so through that, people basically surrendered, their guard. And the problem today is that there is so much in salesmanship that people feel like they need to be on guard
yeah,
against. But when people
absolutely.
surrender because they understand that you're authentic and your intentions are sincere, their hearts and minds will follow. I've just done what my mom served as an example, and I've achieved amazing things in my life. And, I've met billionaires and just talked to them about on a human level, not focused on that they're a billionaire or what I can get out of it, but how could I help them? Even billionaires, I befriended one who was getting on in years, and without getting into details, I learned that he had fallen and broke his hip. And I had a client who's had this device that could help people get in and out of bed more easily. And I said, let me send it to you, and he didn't expect that, but I was happy to do it
Yeah,
because I'm all about building relationships, and I have relationships of amazing caliber all over the world. I get emails, about 300 emails a day. I can't keep up.
yeah,
And I'm on everybody's list. But I say, that wasn't meant for me. That was meant for Bob, or that was meant for Fred. And I just send that over to see, if they can benefit from that. I rarely ask for much, but if I ever have to, I know I have friends all over the world at every strata in every category, every vertical market, who are super influencers, not just influencers. And they know if I'm asking for something, it's probably because it's something that really they should pay attention to, because I rarely ask for much, but the tide goes out, the tide comes back. And if people develop this mindset of intention, this is the result.
yeah. Absolutely. And of course, it was a rhetorical question, and you answered it so beautifully. And I'm so glad, because it's perfect, for our audience to really lean into that. Um, and I think that that really, really keys us up for this next piece, because, when you're there and you're not sure about that, I want you to talk about how you can unlearn and then relearn how to have more genuine and effective relationships, and building approaches to make that human to human connection.
Well, again, I think it goes to surrender. It's the scariest thing to think about. But I think that there are a lot of people who are brought up on tactics, strategy. It then leads into manipulation. It then leads into a mindset that I need to put me first rather than we first. I need to feed my family, me, me, me. And the sad irony is that we're all not about the me, that we're all interdependent.
Yeah,
We're going through a very, very fragile time right now in the world because everyone has retreated to their own positions politically, economically, about the me first rather than the we first. And look how well it's working out.
yeah,
It's not.
yeah,
And so, on a microcosmic basis, it's the same for us in our individual relationships and our families. We all have to take care of our families, but we're all part of the human family. And when you start seeing things in that new perspective, you have to start thinking about, what have I learned and what do I have to unlearn, in terms of
yeah,
tactics and all these. I see these courses online, about how to, generate sales, and, you follow this flow chart and you'll get your results, but at what price?
Yeah.
So the real understanding that I think we need to come to right now is that we're all intertwined, and when people see that, they're like, what can I do for you? I rarely say what people can do for me because I'm not really thinking about it, but I'm drowning in abundance. I mean, I can cite an incredible examples of, opportunities in my wildest dreams that I never would have imagined. We can get into that later, but I really do think it's about that. You have to unlearn all of these, showing up, looking good, $1 million cologne. Do you like my latest $1,000 pinstripe tie? That's all fine. You make an impression, but is it a real impression? You know, I, I've met many wealthy, powerful people, and who I am is exactly how I'm showing up for you now. And I wouldn't show up for you any different than I would a head of state or a Nobel Prize winner and people like that who I've connected with. Because people all at a very basic point just sense like, do I like this guy?
Yeah.
Do I want to know this guy? Do I want to trust this guy? And if you know, like, and trust somebody, you're going to do business with them on whatever level.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is so true. I mean, I just want to throw in there that, one of the things that I have always done, and I've been tremendously successful in my sales career, but it was always to put the client first, to think like the client, because their perspective was truth. And
Yeah.
so when you approach it, and that's that same concept of that worthy intent, you do, you it's like that karmic just comes back to you in threes, and that the abundance. So thank you so
Th-
much for sharing that,
That's
Neil. So
exactly right. I'd love to share an example that just happened to me this week.
sure,
So I
yeah,
have a friend who's not one of the founders of Private Space Enterprise, and everyone I think would like to go up into space. I'd like to go up into space. So I contacted him because he's become a friend, because I've done things just to help him. And I said, hey, there's a specific company that can take people up into space that I think I have some ideas for that can save them money and make them a lot of money. And so he referred me. And without getting into specific details, I had an idea about taking up a head of state into space, and that there would be a charitable component to that, and also through experiments that could be done that could help the environment. And I pitched them on it. They didn't know me. They said, "Gee, that's great if you can make it happen." So I'm into that discussion now, and there's no reason why I should be. I mean, it's not my background or training, but when you adopt this mindset, it's limitless. Another example, I was asked to, because I tend to be a very high level connector, and I also, by the way, help startups, mid-level companies. That everyone has a challenge and they don't have clarity. Going to the theme of this show, and I've been blessed now because I've, having studied these people and trained my brain, can find the solution in the problem.
right,
And everyone has problems. So in another example, I was asked to get involved with a company that was looking to do auctions, high level auctions to raise money for charity and so forth. And I got to know some amazing people. And so now I'm looking at potentially setting up a tourism company. I have no background in tourism. I didn't go through school. I don't have a certificate on my wall. But I said, what about us getting together and taking some of these amazing expeditions and packaging them up? So I just got a text while you and I are on this webcast from a colleague who's become a friend, an authentic friend. I mean, an authentic friend, and we've never met. Okay, but he's actually involved with the dig of or excavation of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat.
yeah,
And so we're looking to formalize that and turn that into a business. And he introduced me on this phone to somebody who is now exploring inside the Pyramid of Giza, unknown chambers. And I've been joking around with him, and he's having a ball, and he'd like to meet me. And this is how it all works. Now, I never in a million years would have anticipated that I would be involved with these kinds of amazing people. But if you develop this mindset and stop focusing on trying to sell and close, but more cooperate, serve, appreciate, and fold your needs into the other person's, as you were alluding to, it's a beautiful symmetry.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. So, Neal, I
Me
really,
too.
yeah. Well, I would love to have you share with our audience who are tuning in from all over the world, um, what are the first steps that they could take, so they could get this type of this clarity and to really move themselves forward.
Yeah, you have to shed your affectations, and it goes again to this idea of unlearning to learn. And when we were born into the world, none of us had clarity. We're all zero in clarity, and some people get amazing clarity in certain very highly specialized disciplines, and they become billionaires, and others become leading political figures. And we all learn at a different pace. But I think the most important thing is to figure out, how do we connect successfully with each other so that people really just want to help you? It's really
Yeah,
that. It's not even, do they want to buy from you, but it gets to another level of how can I help you? And then you
yeah,
know that you have this really special connection. And so I don't have expectations other than helping people to solve their problems. And now, if I have some kind of an agenda, it has to be subservient, as you said, to what they're looking to achieve, and how can I fold that into their agenda so that it's a win-win
yeah,
and everyone gets their needs met. Now, there are some people that won't do that,
yeah,
and I actually have a separate course, and I talk about how to identify people in terms of trust.
yeah.
And it's actually interesting because more people demand to hear that talk than they do in how to make money, because there's a lot of courses out there on how to make money. But how do you not lose money? How do you not
Yeah,
lose time? By pouring it into the wrong person.
yeah,
So I've shared this on other podcasts, but I think it's really worth the just briefly recapping. When you want to look at who to do business with, I think there's four things that I've identified. And it came out of my systems thinking, because you have to identify the elements in every system with clarity to understand how to operate successfully. So there's
right.
a system I believe to trust, and I'm just going to digress for a moment, but I think it'd be
No, no,
very useful and helpful to your audience, because you don't want to waste your time with the wrong people. So there's four
absolutely.
points, right? There's 4 points that I've identified. One is that, and it's the most obvious one, if you're looking to get into business with someone and you're looking for the things that you feel good about, the first thing you'll go to is, do they have a sense of integrity, right?
Yeah,
And that's an obvious one. But if they have a sense of integrity, but they don't have great judgment, can you trust them? Because trust is dependability. So let's say you have someone who has great character and great judgment, but they don't have good habits. They don't follow up. They
yeah,
say things and they keep making excuses. Can you trust them? But if you even have someone who has great judgment, great character, and great habits, but they don't have great temperament, if they're bipolar, if they're narcissistic, and to a great degree, can you trust them? I just had a call the other day
yep,
with somebody who wanted my help with something, and he had huge opportunities, uh, great infrastructure, but it was all about his agenda. And he didn't want to deal with brokers. And he was confusing me for a broker because I was going to introduce him to certain people. Where do you go from there?
yeah,
So, it's categorizing people in ways that maybe misunderstand their value. And so I think one of the secrets to also being a great salesperson, and I take that language of being a great salesperson as something special and to embrace. So there are a lot of people who are afraid of sales, or salespeople. Ooh. But I think one of the secrets to being a great salespeople is to demonstrate, articulate your value,
yeah.
and that value in terms of the other person and what they're looking to achieve. And when you have that, again, it can result and turn into a beautiful thing.
Wow. Oh, Neil, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And especially about talking about how entrepreneurs and corporate leaders can push their business forward through clarity. And this last piece on trust was brilliant. So I know that our audience is going to want to know more about you and where they can find you and find out more about you.
Well, thank you very much. I actually am not on a lot of social media because I probably drown. I am on LinkedIn. I finally caved in. Somebody said, join. I do have a website. It's actually being revamped right now, but you can find me at worldclassconnections.com, connections with an S, and there'll be a contact page there, and people can, write me. I usually am very responsive, no matter how many, you know, outreaches I get, because I always believe it's important to take time for everybody. No matter what stage they're at, we all need more clarity, and I enjoy sharing some insights to help.
Yeah. And I'm looking for some more great things to come with our connection, Neil. And so, and I want to just thank you for being on the show today. It's been such an informative discussion. And for everyone who tuned in, thank you so much for being here with us. And if you have
Well,
ideas that you would like to share, you can leave us a comment down below in the comment section. We love to hear your thoughts. And if you have a question or would like to suggest a topic for discussion, you can send us an email at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And of course, to stay current on all of our great articles, our podcasts like the one with Neil today, all of our incredible advantages, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com. And Neil, once again, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your incredible, just your person, your essence here on the show today. It's been wonderful.
well, it takes one to know one. So I'm glad we found each other, and I hope we'll find each other more often in the future. You and I, as you know, we're talking about now putting together a special event for people to give them more clarity and also walk them up the staircase to having more influence once they have the clarity. And when they have more influence and even looking at how to become more celebrated in their field, their discipline, so that they can amplify their reach and impact in the world. And that's something that you and I will be talking more about, and hopefully we'll be sharing more about in the future.
Absolutely. So stay tuned, everyone.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate you, Lynn, and I look forward to many more happy occasions together.